Namaste and a very warm welcome to you on Sarva Gunn Sampann. Thank you so much for joining me on this podcast, where I have the opportunity to connect with women from the diaspora, from India, and bring their unique journeys, their lived experiences, their personalities, perspectives, and more. My guest today is a woman who values integrity, adaptability, respect, compassion, and family. Her strengths include her honesty, her responsibility, her inclusiveness, and empathy. So I'm delighted to welcome Sarojini Tati to my show. Sarojini, it's a pleasure to have you. How are you?
I'm doing very well, Anu. Thank you for inviting me to the show. I'm extremely excited and really I want to applaud you for the platform you've created for all the women here and sharing everybody's stories.
It's absolutely my honor to connect with women who have not only accomplished a lot for themselves, but also finding ways to give back to society and the communities they live in. So really excited and honored once again. We'll get started without further ado. Our first segment, as you're familiar with the format by now, is about your childhood. We call it Bachchpan Ke Din. And I'd love to take you back in time and learn about your childhood and how growing up years were for you. So take it away.
Sure. I think I had a very simple, down-to-earth, normal childhood like most middle-class girls from that generation. My dad worked at Fertilizer Corporation of India in Barauni, Bihar. So we lived in a township, and that's where my Bachchpan Ke Din started. I have fondest memories of that place, my first friends, my play dates, birthday parties with puri halwa and participating in various school events and so on, family gatherings and so on. We all went to the same school, Kendriya Vidyalaya, and there was only one school in the township. And so we had a mix of all cultures and states, and all the parents knew each other. So we were in a very pleasant and comfortable surrounding at that time. So when I was 9, my dad took up another job in a private fertilizer company in Mumbai. And that's how we ended up moving to Mumbai. My brother and I have a brother and a sister who were both under 2 at that time. So we went from a protected and cushy environment, township culture, to a very fast-paced Mumbai environment where everybody was on the move. Kids were very aggressive. I was made fun of because I was very tall and lanky and I wore glasses. In fact, even my Hindi, where you can probably relate to it, but I used to refer to myself as hum versus the main, which is normal in Mumbai. I was made fun of, but we settled in. Dad had a new job, so he spent long hours at work. Mom had to take care of 2 younger siblings and the necessities of home, right? At that time, we didn't have a way of doing online banking or ordering groceries or paying bills. So I sort of became a secondary caretaker for my siblings when mom went and did all of this. And that was life there. I made friends with my neighborhood kids to play with and go to school with. And then, of course, eventually I had lots of friends at school as well. But as can be expected from any cosmopolitan city, we had kids from all walks of life, and I had friends. I still have friends who are from all faiths, all religions, all states. The good part, I think, one of the basic principle that I applied to my life, and I learned it from my parents, is they always welcomed all my friends and treated them with kindness. Every time somebody came to my house, mom would ask them, do you want to eat this? Do you want to eat that? And so on. So implicitly, I think it taught me how to respect human beings for who they are and not really where they come from. And really, that has helped me a lot throughout my journey in life. But I think you always learn certain things, but that's how my Bachchpan was.
So you got the best of both worlds, moving to Mumbai. It's a cosmopolitan, studying in Kendriya Vidyalaya doesn't get any better than that, because that's a microcosm of what India stands for, real diversity. All right, so we'll move on to our next segment from here, which is Ye Kahaan Gaye Hum. And this is where life really takes you further along in your journey. You finished your high school and then you moved to your college. So what happens between when you attend college and then all the way till the present day is what this segment is all about.
So lucky for me, higher education was always encouraged in my family. My paternal grandfather was a PUC graduate in the British era. He decided to continue farming. That's a different story. My dad pursued his PhD in applied physics before becoming an instrument engineer at FCI. My mom was the only girl in her village high school, all the way from sixth standard to finishing up high school. And then she also ended up doing her undergrad studies and was married at the age of 21, which was quite rare in the 60s. So in terms of education, I felt very privileged as I had no restrictions imposed on me or my siblings regarding what field we chose for our future or what we could study or how long we could study and so on. The only caveat my dad imposed on us was academics had to be merit-based. And for that excellence, obviously, we had to do hard work and be committed to it, which is a life principle that I truly, truly am indebted to my dad about because it came in very handy throughout my college and career as well. In my ninth grade, my dad went to Abu Dhabi for another job, and they had to leave me after my 12th in the care of my grandparents. And my grandfather specifically, being a bit paranoid about the safety of a teenage girl, I think he recommended that I pursue my studies in women's college. So I completed my undergrad in St. Teresa's College, a women's college in Eluru in Andhra, and also went to Padmavati University in Tirupati, again, a women's college. And since I always enjoyed analytical problem solving, I decided to pursue my career studies in computer science, which was just about starting to gain popularity then, and I found it very fascinating. So my parents were a little worried about the fact that I was away from them, and I had gone from a big city, cosmopolitan city, a multi-ethnic with a multi-ethnic culture in Mumbai to a small town in Andhra, where folks predominantly spoke Telugu, and my fluency in Telugu was limited. But you settle down. I have to say, my seniors had a gala time in making me say all these long Telugu words and sentences and laugh at my pronunciations. But that was that. My dressing was also different compared to the other girls who wore half saris most of the times, and I was in salwars or skirts, which I was used to in Mumbai. But over time, we settled down. I was good at school, and I participated in a lot of extracurricular activities. So made lots of friends. The teachers liked me, and so it was a good life there. My parents were actually surprised about my resiliency and adaptability, but I settled in quite seamlessly and adjusted to the new place. I have to say, I was initially a little disappointed that my grandfather was sending me to a women's college, but seriously, looking back, I have no regrets, as I made some amazing and lifelong friends there. Really, they are my family away from family today. Throughout the college, really, one incident that really popped out that I wanted to call out was every time I went to my grandparents' place for holidays, I would see a lot of folks come in and talk to my grandpa about several topics, whether it was world politics or just crops and farming and the various techniques, or even seek advice on auspicious dates for events. So my grandpa was self-taught about Panchangam, and he shared that knowledge for free with the folks. So lots of folks came into my house. But one thing I noticed that was specific was about certain people sat on the chairs and certain people sat on the floor. Some came inside the house. Some just called him out from literally outside the house. I didn't understand that at that point. And when I talked to my grandpa, he explained to me about the hierarchical system that they still followed in the villages, which which was so contrary to what I had learned throughout my life, and the mindset I had created, or my parents had really created for me, which was to treat everybody the same. So it bothered me very immensely that there was no way to bridge that gap. But then I thought about it a lot more, and I tucked away a thought in my head somewhere that this disparity can be bridged with education. I was too young to do anything about it then. Right after my master's, I was like, okay, I'm done with my studies. Now I'm going to go work. But my parents had different thoughts. My marriage was a whirlwind affair. Meeting my husband, to getting engaged, to getting married, to getting a visa and moving to US all happened within a span of about 6 weeks. And I came here, the first few months were all about learning the culture, the vocabulary, the local accent, and I did all of that by watching some soap operas and reality shows. And of course, I had to do all the cooking and driving and making new friends and adjusting to a new life with a new partner. My husband and I got to know each other. We developed a good rapport, and we traveled a lot together too. We were, in fact, our friends called us vagabonds in those days. But these conversations were very helpful because they made me realize that despite the fact that my husband hailed from a village, he was very progressive in his thought process, and he gave me wings to fly. I was a very shy person, but he encouraged me. He made me make those bold decisions and not shy away from trying anything new. And then, of course, work came through, and kid, my daughter came in, and the rest is history, as they say. You settle down, and before you know it, it's been almost 29 years since I've been here.
What happened, as you were settling, where was your career going? So talk to me a little bit about, your work, and we talk about that till present day.
Sure. Obviously, I got married in a hurry. So when I came to US, I was on an H-4 visa, not eligible to work. So once I learned driving, to go in for interviews on my own, and figured out that I could understand the accent well enough to conduct interviews, I applied to hundreds of jobs in an attempt to find a company that would sponsor an H-1 visa based on my foreign degree. And that combination was a sticky affair at that time. But luckily for me, a small startup company gave me my first break. I started as a leaf level software engineer, and rose through the ranks to become an executive at IBM. I was not the one to stick to the same role for a long time. So I kept changing my career every 3 years or so, always new products, new people, new learnings, new challenges, but also success stories. So I had the privilege of building very large, distributed, worldwide teams. At one point, I managed a team of about 250 people. But I think there are traits that I grew up with that came in very handy, but at the same time, there were things like communication, respect and empathy for everyone around you, and of course, integrity. I believe when the team sees you put these into action, you automatically gain respect and trust from your team members, your peers, and also management, which is really the key to my success. I'd attribute that to it. Obviously, as a Indian women executive, it was challenging. I would not say it was easy road, but we had to juggle through several priorities, whether it was at work or in personal life, especially when your team is spread out in various time zones. But I tried to compartmentalize a lot of them, which brought some sanity in my life. And my husband was a great help. So that's how I could manage all of it. We also had a lot of familial responsibilities back in India. So we were working hard. We were working diligently to make a life for ourselves and take care of other responsibilities. But I think one of the things that IBM did very well was organize a lot of charitable events every year. And I was able to join quite a few of them. Like working in a homeless shelter, cleaning up abused women homes, talking to them, doing holiday fund drives, holiday packing, and speed mentoring, teaching kids at school. Each one of those experiences was very, very humbling. And the exposure and the awareness I really got from each of these experiences struck a chord with me again, that I have to do something for the community. I need to give back to the community. But we were still working through our own life and settling down. But when my daughter was ready to go off to college, that's when I decided to retire in July 2022, after my stint as the CTO and VP of engineering at a private equity firm. And that is when I felt like it was time for me to focus on my passions exclusively.
That is great. And, that really helps us segue into our next segment, Kaam Ki Baat, where we deep dive into your work as you're doing it now, as we speak, and learn about what is it that you are passionate about and what is it that you do. So this is Kaam Ki Baat, and, give us a lowdown on all that you do for this particular organization.
Sure. So I think, as I've said, right, throughout my life until now, I've seen my parents provide that unwavering support towards education. I've seen my dad help out relatives' kids who wanted to study further. Their parents may not have been as willing for a variety of reasons. Just to help you understand my parents' desire for education, I think the only and the top criteria they had when they were looking for a groom for me was the guy should be well educated and it should have been merit-based education. But coming back to the point, my husband also happens to come from a village, from a farming background, and he's actually the first in his family to go through college. And he's seen several bright and capable girls from his immediate family, like his sister, and extended family, and schoolmates who were not as fortunate to avail higher education. They were married off at the age of 13, 16, 18, and so on. I had cousins who went through the same experience. So my husband and I often discussed how these girls' lives could have been so different had they been given a fair chance to study further and compete in the wider world. We often talked about it, but obviously we were not in a phase where we could actually do something about it. So while we waited for life to settle down and some of the major responsibilities in India, family responsibilities in India to be taken care of, we built upon what should we be doing once we get to a point where we are able to give back to the community. And the experiences throughout our lives, both on my husband's side and my side, sparked that desire to embark on that journey of empowering underprivileged girls. And that's how we call it TIMES, but it is Tati Indira Memorial Educational Society. It's named after my mom. That's how TIMES was established about 9 years ago. As we started exchanging our plans and ideas with friends and family, in fact, several of them expressed interest in joining hands with us to serve towards that cause, because this cause was so close to their heart too. And these became our esteemed trustees. And I have to say, we have the most fabulous execution team on the ground, all friends and family members who operate tirelessly on a variety of tasks and expect nothing in return. They're just doing this out of the kindness of their heart. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for their support on the ground in India, who constantly help us out. So my heartfelt thank you to each one of them. Anyway, so as the idea took root, we had, and the word spread amongst various villages. We received a request from a local grocery shop owner whose daughter had acquired a seat in one of the engineering colleges, but he had no funds to support her. So he came to us and he asked us if we could fund her. Since we were already thinking about it, we were happy to help and start there. And I have to say, it gives me really immense pleasure to say that she is now an independent, self-reliant girl, and she's a software engineer at TCS. Unfortunately, sadly, her dad passed away during COVID, and she was in her last semester of engineering. But when she bagged this job at TCS, she was able to support her brother's education and her family. So it's so satisfying to know that you've helped somebody, you've changed somebody's life. They could have been in a very different state had she not gone through that journey. Next year came another girl's request whose parents had passed away when she was in her 6th grade, I believe. She grew up with her grandparents. Her grandparents made her study till intermediate, and then they were done. They didn't know how to send her to college. She came to her aunt and uncle to stay, but her aunt and uncle already had 2 girls of their own. So they requested us, they came to us, and we were happy to take her under our wing. She also completed her engineering. She worked for 2 years in a multinational company. She saved up enough and came here to US last year to pursue her master's degree. So she is obviously, she's expanded her wings and she's out there flying. So one thing we did realize is we were getting just onesies, twosies requests, and we were ready for broader impact. But we realized that the funnel was very small this way. And when we dug into it, the reason we realized the funnel is small is because as long as the education was free in villages, mostly in most of the villages, Jilla Parishad schools have free education. The education stopped after that. The girls were not being sent to intermediate or junior college, and hence they never got a chance to get into further studies. So we changed our own strategies, and we figured we should contact local schools so we can get more kids and we can probably help out more girls. So we reached out to some of the local schools, like the school that my mom went to, the school that my husband went to, and some relatives went to. So wherever we had those connections, we reached out to those schools and shared our vision and purpose with them, with the school administration. And then we met the entire school at an assembly, and emphasized the role and effect of higher education, effect the higher education can have on their lives. We actually took along several folks with us who could share their personal stories to underscore this point. What would life be with education, and what would life be without education? It would be great for the kids to hear, and what kind of global platform they had available to them if they were to continue or pursue their education. We established about 3 criteria that we wanted to support. One was the girl should have good marks or should have good 10th results. Primarily, we focused on maths and science. The second was about requiring financial support, meaning their education would stop if we did not provide that support. And of course, the kid had to have a zeal to study. And we had seen several examples in the past who wanted to study, but they were not allowed to. So this was our cue. We reached out offline to the principals of each of these schools. And unfortunately, when we were ready, COVID hit, and it caused a little bit of disruption in our pipeline. But our goal was still to continue that education and build that pipeline. We picked it back up in 2022 and wanted to provide the best education to these kids in intermediate so they can excel in their MCET exams and get into good engineering colleges. So we identified a few kids in collaboration with the high school administrations who met our criteria, and then got these kids into Sri Chaitanya College in Guntur. We have the Times team members go meet these kids on a monthly basis, understand what's working for them, what's not working for them, where they may need help, and provide some motivation and any advice or small things that they may need. Just started working with the kids on a regular basis. Ravi and I, my husband and I, meet with these kids at least once a year. The kids and their parents, we talk to them about, again, inspire them on what they can do, how they can achieve great things in life. They don't have to be stuck to a particular pattern or place. The entire world is their platform. And the kids have done well. We have been following this for the last 3 years. And I think I would say probably we have about 40 kids overall in the pipeline, whether they have just completed or are completing or have been pegged or have completed their studies in whatever way. During the COVID years, though, since we did not have a way to reach out to the schools and get our plan off the ground, we took on a few side projects in my husband's village. One was about helping the daily wage workers who were out of their livelihood, providing some basic necessities to them, like rice and lentils and vegetables and soaps and those kinds of things. So that was one. Number two was we saw a lot of people during COVID still getting out and not having a clean environment for themselves. So we decided we were going to build some bathroom facilities for all of these daily wage worker community folks. And we built over 200 toilets in the village. We commenced on that mission and built the toilets for almost every household now has a bathroom on their property. It was our way of helping the kids grow up in a clean environment and also build their confidence and self-respect at an early age, especially the girls. So I think that was a very satisfying project as well. Some of the NRIs from the village also helped us after the movement got through, like after 2 phases. We built it in phases, of course. So that was really great. And I think the third project was about bringing the kids of this community back into the schools. So the kids usually just accompanied their parents and got some additional wages. Or when they were not working, they just played on the streets. These were young kids, these were teenagers, everybody. So my husband and the Times team took the opportunity to go to each of the homes, talk to the parents, talk to the kids about the importance of education and sending the kids to school. The school did not require any fees. It was free for them. But since they did not have any role models to guide them, they were just playing on the streets when they were not working. And they were too young to work anyway. So we sort of got some kids to join us. We lured them by providing some new set of clothes, bags, books, and we identified an unused community hall in the area and appointed a couple of teachers so they could help these kids learn or finish their homework, go through their studies. If they have any doubts, help them out. Unfortunately, we saw lots of ebbs and flows in the attendance because the parents would pull out the kids to go work. But I think we have been able to convince a lot of the parents to allow the kids to study. And the Times team, I have to say, on the ground is relentless about pursuing the kids who slip away. So then the kids kept slipping away and we got them back. And every time we went, my husband goes to the tuition, I go to the tuition in the evening, and we sit down with the kids and ask questions, help them with their studies, get them to finish their homework. Talk to the parents when they come there to pick up the kids. So we have been trying to help them stay in school. These are, I'd say, about, depending on the day, but these are about 30 to 50 kids of all ages, all the way from I'd say first grade to 10th grade. Some of the kids have really taken a liking to the school, and despite of what happens, they stay in school. It's so great to see that behavior from them, and they come and talk to us and tell us what they've accomplished, and they show us their mark sheets when we go there. So they're happy about it. And the good part is seeing all of this transformation. Some of the women also came forward to pursue some basic reading, writing skills. We now have women who can read and sign their names. So that was also a great achievement, I would say. So that's on the work front in India. And we have also established now a 501(c)(3) here. It's called Power of Education, to implement some of the same learnings and programs and see how we can help the local kids, if any, here as well. We've started our work with a school in Hayward in California. It's called Tennyson High School, where we have a high percentage of students come from low-income families. So we assist them in understanding the various careers that are out there. If you go to college, if you're able to pursue college, we talk to them about basic computer knowledge, some basic programming, not hi-fi, but just a little bit, just enough for them to get through and say, yes, we know how to work with computers. And of course, kids all have Chromebooks here, so they are familiar, but knowing a little more is always helpful. And who knows, it can spark an interest for them to go into this field as well, right? So I talk to them about the various careers they can take, whether it is in the computer science field or outside, because they may not know the big world out there. So it's been going great. I've also started working with the teachers in school, and next year we're starting an AP computer science program in that school, and I definitely plan to be an integral part of that program. So that's our starting point here. Hopefully we can expand our role here as well. But so far, that's where we've gotten. Obviously, a lot of my friends have heard about this. This has also been covered in newspapers in India. So Andhra Jyoti, Indian Express, and so on. So lots of friends have heard about it, seen the news, and they've applauded what we do, and also have expressed an interest in how they can support the cause. So obviously, if they are in the US, it can for our 501(c)(3) makes it easier for them to help us.
What a great and inspiring initiative for you and your husband and your team at times. It's incredible. So congratulations on that very impactful work. And I hope this continues to grow, and also would be happy to share any links to your websites or the great work that you're doing. So if any of our audience are interested, they can reach out to you and see how they can contribute to this.
Obviously, for us, we can afford to do so much, and we are slowly expanding. We have now gotten to 5 schools, actually 6 schools. And as we can do more and more, we want to expand into more schools. But I think we also need to make sure that we have connections in those schools to get into the school and make sure that they trust us. Right. So, and now that we have a few schools to show that we are indeed helping the kids, hopefully it'll be an easier transition. The initial transition, the initial getting your foot into the door was a little more difficult because everybody was like, yeah, there's a ton of people who come in and talk about all this, but we don't see any results. But now that we have something to prove, hopefully it'll make it much easier for us to expand our effort.
So do you want to talk a little bit about some of the challenges that you encounter in your work? So when you're reaching out to these schools, if you're not just dealing with the school administration, you're also dealing with the families of these children, besides the children themselves. So talk to me a little bit about the challenges and how you go about solving those.
Sure. So I think a lot of challenges. First, when we were establishing our foundation in India, it was about, okay, how are the people going to trust us? And I think that took some time to say, oh yeah, there's a lot of people who say they'll do certain things, but really they don't do anything. They just say things and disappear in the thin air. But at the same time, I think we had the trust of a few people who were willing to work with us, and they had their connection. So that's how we expanded the trust factor into a lot of the schools. And that's why I said we initially started with the school that my mom went to, the school that my husband went to, the school that my relative went to, and so on. So that way we had some connections to get started. The other challenge was establishing a set of folks who were dedicated to this cause, not from a time perspective, but more from a want to a desire perspective. And luckily that was even though it was a challenge in our heads to start with, something we were able to solve very quickly. Lots and lots of folks came in, and some of course frizzled away over time, but now we have a core team, and that core team works so well with us day in and day out. We have calls on a monthly basis. We discuss the various kids who come to us for support, the various plans we may have, the challenges we are facing with the kids slipping away from the community hall and not coming back. How do we motivate them? Well, some of the funds that are needed in a variety of places. We distributed some books and grammar books and dictionaries to all these schools to help them understand that we were serious about these efforts. So that was another one. We still continue to have one major challenge, which is this gets a little more technical, but we have a challenge where we have problems sending funds directly from US to India. So Indian government requires us to have something called FCRA approval. And unfortunately, that has a certain set of criteria that you have to meet. And unfortunately, we have not been able to get to that point. So we always have to transfer funds through an NGO here to another NGO in India, and then really get the funds out, which is everywhere there is a certain percentage cut, and then we get the funds out there on the other end. So I think that's been a sore spot for us. We also recently met Give India CEO to see if he can help in any way. So we are working to see how we can get to that point, so to easily transfer funds, because I have a lot of friends here who want to help out, but unfortunately I cannot transfer the funds directly to India. So that has been a challenge and continues to be a challenge, but we need to solve for that. And hopefully someday we'll get there. The people issue solved. The scope is something that we have to expand and keep expanding. I do want to stay in the villages, because the government institutions and all, by the time they get to the villages, the steam is gone, and they really don't do much there. So that's why I want to stick to some of the very small villages, which are barely known to anybody. But there are some bright kids there. There are some bright students who need help. So I want to really stick to those, but I have to find more of those small pockets where I can help out. Yeah.
You talked about success stories. The more success stories that you're able to produce, that should also help a great deal with getting the word out and motivating the students, because sustainability is really key.
Absolutely.
It's easy to start something, but then to keep it going and to maintain the momentum, to keep folks interested, excited, and most definitely the students themselves, who are the important element of this whole project. To keep them interested and coming back, I think is a real big challenge. But I really wish you all the best, and I hope you are able to motivate many students to continue to stay, educated, and also produce the kind of success stories that you really need to make that wider impact and scope that you're looking for. So that's fantastic. Anything else that you want to talk about with regards to your great work that you're doing in these villages?
No, not really. I think I sort of covered it all. My daughter does help with. She's a design major, so she's now helping transform the websites for both Power of Education and Times. And we are and will be creating a lot of the collateral that is needed to help spread the word. Your channel is definitely one of them. So thank you for helping me. But we are doing a lot of the work. But if anybody wants to reach out, I'll also send you the email addresses that people can reach out to me. And I'm happy to help them and help them understand what we do, and see how much further we can expand our mission. And it is, I have to say, it's much more satisfying than any of the work I've done in my career. Even though I got paid a lot, and I had lots of folks who worked with me, for me, um, this project definitely has its appeal. And I wish I had started this even earlier, but I am glad I started when I started. And I'd definitely like to continue it for as long as I can go on.
Oh, it's wonderful. You've answered the call, that's come from your heart, and this project being so close to your heart. And there's no better way to serve really the remote parts of our country other than education. Education is, like you said, very powerful. It's extremely powerful. And when you make an impact on families where those levels of education are low, and you're able to uh, create these success stories, I mean, the impact that this has, the ripple effect that this can produce, not only in those families, but people around them is incredible.
Yeah.
So, more power to you. Right. On that note, Sarojini, we'll move on to our next segment, which is your X Factor. I'd love to understand a little more about your personality and dig deeper into what's central to you and what's core to your personality.
Um, I think for me, it's always been respect and compassion for everyone around you. I feel like one should always stay grounded and be humble, regardless of what or who you've become. Be positive, uplift others whenever you can. I know you inherently have some of these traits. Your parents and elders teach you some more as you're growing up, and others you learn from life experiences. I'm always open. I always keep my ears and eyes open, and always strive to be a better version of myself. I love to communicate. I'm a people person. I love talking to my friends, my family. I think I have more contacts into the nth cousin than any of my family members or my cousins do. That's just because I love working with people. And I think that is core to my personality, and I think that has helped me tremendously. Whether it was in my career, I loved working with people, and that was the reason I went into management. And even in my personal life, I've always tried to keep in touch with people, and it brings me lots of joy. Working with people, talking to people. I'm typically a very happy and satisfied person, so hopefully I share more of that with everybody, and just continue to be myself and improve myself every day. That's really who I am. Yeah, it's actually funny. Last year when we went to India, we always invite all the kids and their parents to meet us, so that way we get to know what's going on in their heads. We didn't realize, but there was a newspaper editor in that, or columnist, I should say, in the crowd, which I didn't know about, and he reached out to us later, and he said he wanted to interview me, just because he thought I connected so well with the kids, each individual kid. And again, like, for me, it doesn't matter where they come from. It doesn't matter who they are, what community they come from, or what class they are from, etc. For me, it's just that they are kids. They are working with me. They're great students. And the way I interacted with them apparently pulled a string, and he reached out to me and asking for an interview. So I guess people do see it that I connect well with people.
That's great. That's wonderful. All right. We'll move on now to our final segment, which is self-care. And here I'd love to know, what do you do to take care of yourself at an emotional, mental, spiritual, and physical level?
I think I've always enjoyed being outdoors, whether it was running, playing tennis, camping, hiking, traveling. I believe when my daughter was about 3.5 years old, just going on small hikes as a family became a routine for us. It was a family activity that we enjoyed together. We went on weekend camping trips away from all the distractions, especially because in those days we didn't have network everywhere. But these days hiking has become my passion. I think in 2019, my daughter and I did a mother-daughter trip to climb Mount Kilimanjaro. It was a surreal experience for both of us. I would thank my cousin who mentioned it to us. And then since then, it's been at least one big hike every year, whether it is in US or internationally. In July 2022, June 2022, we scaled up Everest Base Camp. This year, I have a couple of other interesting climbs coming up. So really, nature is so incredible and magnificent. It's every time I'm out there, I'm in awe. I feel so peaceful when I'm in the greenery. So I think whether it is physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, you can say it all. I love nature, and I can spend entire day watching the greenery, the green rolling hills, or the sunsets and the sunrises and whatnots. So really, being outdoors does it all for me. And while I'm out there, I also try to do some photography. And unfortunately, I cannot capture the grandness and the beauty of nature all in my camera, but I try a little bit. And when I'm not outdoors, it's again spending time with friends and a little bit of reading. That's what keeps me sane.
How rewarding it must be for you to fulfill those aspirations, not just with your nonprofit organization, but also trying to fulfill your own needs, right? Taking care of yourself and exploring the nature and capturing the nature. It's remarkable.
Yeah, and it definitely helps when your entire family is doing the same thing. So since we started our daughter early, she and I just go out and do hikes and come back, and we have our own schedule. So it's always fun when she comes back home for the holidays. I'm always looking forward to it.
I'm sure she's looking forward to it as well, to get back and do all those fun things with you.
Yeah.
All right. Before we wrap up, any words of advice or any parting wisdom for our audience?
I would say two things. One, always make yourself a priority. I know as Indian women, we juggle so many things that we are either never on the list or we are almost at the bottom of our priority list. I would say change that. Make yourself a priority. If you are well, you can take care of others. If you are not well, you may not be able to take care of your other priorities. So definitely make yourself a priority. And the second thing is, it's never too late to start any life-changing habit. If it's good for you, start it today. It's never too late. So enjoy your life. Take full advantage of your life. It's beautiful, and enjoy every small thing that you come across.
That's wonderful advice. We can't hear enough of it. I know my guests come and on more occasions than one have we heard the exact message go out that take care of yourself, prioritize yourself. And I think you reinforcing that really helps a lot. And I want to thank you, Sarojini Garu, for this wonderful opportunity you've given Sarva Gunn Sampann and myself to talk about the incredible life-changing work that you are doing in the rural parts of India, where there is a great need for it, and trying to address the challenges as you go along, and making sure that your work is sustainable and it's making the kind of impact that you and your husband and your entire team at times has envisioned. And I wish you all the very best. And I hope you are able to accomplish a great deal more, and you get all the support from the universe and everybody that's watching this episode. And
thank you so much. Thank you so much for spotlighting me in your series and helping us spread the word. So thanks to you.
It's been an honor. It's been an honor. Thank you very much.